820, Big 550, KTRS. Gail Pennington joins us, TV critic from the St. Louis Post-Dispatch. Good morning, Gail Pennington.
Good morning, McGraw. Good morning, Kelly.
Good morning, Gail.
So I told you last week I was binge watching Mad Men.
Uh-huh.
So I'm towards the end of season number 2. And I got to tell you, I now have developed a smoker's cough and a hangover.
What's happening right now and where you are?
So Duck and Duck and Don Draper are having issues, and the drunk guy just got fired. They just fired a guy because he peed himself in a meeting. So
right, and you remember that he comes back in.
Right, sober. Right, he comes back sober, yeah. But he was so drunk he passes out and he pees on himself. So they tell him that he's like an old timer, and Don fights for him. And they take him out to dinner, and they're drinking, and they're telling him, "Look, you've clearly got a problem. You really need
to."
As they're drinking, right. And then after they fire him, then they take him to some underground like gambling ring where they get even drunker. It was like this. You forget how great that show is. Yeah. I mean, as much as we remember how good it is, we have forgotten how great that show is. So.
It is. I wish I had time to watch the whole thing over again.
Yeah,
I will someday.
It's phenomenal, and you forget how great the '60s, how they bring the '60s back to life.
So perfectly.
Yeah, and the other thing is that we only saw the '60s from the '70s and '80s. In other words, the wallpaper was dated by the time we found it, right?
Right.
And the grandpa wearing the hat and the suits and the thin ties, well, that was sort of out. So we only saw the 80s or the 60s from old and tattered. But, this is hip and happening 60s. It's really a really good show. So
and Don Draper could make anything look hip and happening.
Don Draper's a pretty good-looking cat.
But he was really like drunk and hungover half of the time.
Right.
Gail, when is the new Mad Men? When is the final? In April?
It's April 7th, I think, is its return date.
Yeah.
I wouldn't swear to that, but it's the first Sunday in April.
All right. Well, we know what Pat Blassie from Altair Travel is doing tonight at 7 o'clock. She's watching the 3-hour finale of The Bachelor.
That is so much Bachelor.
How can they devote 3 hours to The Bachelor?
And even you're saying that.
Well, 2 hours. He's got to take one of them back to Iowa with him.
Yes.
Both of them back to Iowa with him, and then he's got to pick. Have you heard the rumor that he gets rejected?
Really?
Well, that's the one. That's the one they're sort of promoting on the show, kind of.
Is it?
Yeah, that the one girl, says I can't live in Iowa.
Well, then you know what? They know that the outcome. All these girls that are contestants know that he's going back to this farm.
Well,
so
right.
Why are they even going through with it?
During the Fantasy Suite episode,
yes,
which has a lot of really rude nicknames online. Have you noticed that, what people call the Fantasy Suite? And didn't he specifically quiz each one of them? Now, you really want to move to the farm with me? Really?
And it's not just a farm. I mean, this farm town is in the middle of nowhere.
400 and something people.
Yeah, I mean, all the bars and restaurants closed down, and they got one church downtown, and they don't have any stoplights. I mean, this is a small, tiny little town.
Is it near anything?
I haven't looked it up on a map. Arlington, Iowa. I don't know where it's near.
Oh my gosh, there's nothing in Iowa, the whole state.
Well,
Frank says there's nothing around.
Actually, for all the fans of Iowa out there, I love Iowa. Iowa's a great town. Or a great state, and whether it's Des Moines or Ames, I've been to both.
I've lived in Iowa.
Dubuque, that's a lot. The people
Wait, Kelly, you've lived in Iowa?
Yeah, I lived in Waterloo, Cedar Falls. I lived there for a year and a half.
It also has one of the greatest writing. What is that? University of Iowa. Great writing workshop.
That's right. Lena Dunham's character on Girls
went
to that writers' workshop.
Yeah, I gave up a home run in Ames, Iowa, that landed like 10 minutes ago.
Oh no, there are parts of Iowa that are much more cosmopolitan than people would even think.
Yeah, Iowa is really, the people don't appreciate how good Iowa is, but that's just beside the point. All right, so The Bachelor tonight, 3 hours. That's where Pat Blassie from Altair Travel will be tonight. What's TV for the rest of the week there, Gail?
Well, A&E debuts its version of The Returned. The Returned was a French series about the dead coming back to a small town.
Okay.
People who died for years and just came back as they were when they died. People get it confused with the series on ABC called Resurrection. but
Yes.
This is The Returned, and now A&E has remade The Returned in English, set in the United States.
So
And I
it's-
haven't seen it, but I just think it was a bad idea. The original was really good.
So this is not Resurrection. It's a
No.
different show in which people come back to a
Different
small
show.
town.
Right.
Okay. All right.
Jeremy Sisto is one of the stars.
Jeremy
Oh, I
Sisto.
like him.
Jeremy
Yeah, I like
Sisto
him too.
just announced that he was up for Leonardo DiCaprio's role in Titanic.
What?
Yes.
Okay.
He lost out. He read with the girl, Rose Dawson DeWitt. What's her real? What's the real name?
I know. I can't
Kate
remember.
Winslet.
Kate
Winslet.
Winslet. Yeah, he read with her, and ultimately James Cameron went with Leo.
Really?
Yeah. All right. Anything else? We got
Well,
going on.
Wednesday, do you know Dave Holmes from St. Louis?
I do not know Dave Holmes.
He was the runner-up in a MTV's So You Want to Be a VJ contest a long time ago, but he went to L.A. and he's made a really nice career for himself. And he's the host of a new show, a new travel show on the Ovation Channel beginning Wednesday. You should have him on sometime.
Did you write that story about him?
Yes, I did.
It was really
in the Saturday
interesting.
Paper, yeah.
Yeah, it was really interesting because he lost the other competition, but then was ultimately signed as a VJ.
He worked 2 years longer than the guy who won. Right? Because it was a popular vote, and the other guy, the guy who won, was like nutty.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So what's that one? That one's called American Canvas
American Canvas, right.
on Ovation.
On Ovation. You have
Ovation.
it. Everybody pretty much has it.
I'm getting ready. I'm
Really?
getting ready to get rid of all those.
Here we go.
So, any comment on the Kardashians signing $100 million deal?
I think that's one of the signs of the apocalypse.
Yes, but you're the one paying for it because you're paying the $200 cable bill every month.
Well, I have to have all those channels, McGraw.
Yeah, you
My
do.
job.
Yes, it is your job. Lastly, The Royals with Elizabeth Hurley on E. What's this one?
It's a comedy drama about the Queen of England, played by Elizabeth Hurley.
That's a
and
comedy
her,
there.
not Queen Elizabeth, a different queen, and her crazy family, with Joan Collins as her mother.
Oh,
Joan
This is
Collins.
Eve's first scripted series,
how can
and it's very typical of them, very wacky.
how can Joan Collins be the mother of the
mom?
Queen and not the Queen herself? She
know.
abdicated the crown.
Well, I think Elizabeth Hurley is the queen who's married to the king.
Oh,
Yeah.
Gotcha. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything with Joan Collins, I think, would be good.
Anything with Elizabeth
Camping
Hurley
and-
is great.
Right.
That's all there is to it.
On the other hand, Queen Elizabeth's mother was the queen's mother, and she wasn't the queen. Remember, because
That's
when
true.
the king died, the
They,
daughter.
Then
they
Elizabeth
gave it to
took
the
over.
daughter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
All right. When can we read you? When can we see you, Gail Pennington?
Friday Go Section, Sunday A&E. I'll have a live chat on Thursday.
You have yourself a good week.
You too.
Take care.
Gail Pennington here, Big 550 KTRS. Let me tell